He never planned to say it. It came out the way truth usually does, not in a prepared statement, not in a carefully worded interview, not in the kind of controlled moment a PR team can shape and polish before it reaches the world. It came out quietly, in a room where he felt, for once, safe enough to stop performing. And what he said, what Elon Musk finally, after decades of marriages and divorces and heartbreaks lived entirely in public, finally revealed about the woman he actually wants beside him, stopped everyone in that room cold. Not because it was shocking, because it was true, because it was the kind of truth that lands in your chest before your brain has time to process it. The kind of truth that makes you sit very still and quietly think about your own life. Stay with me, because what he revealed is not just about him. It is about every single one of us who has ever looked across a room at another person and thought, is this the one? Is this the person who can actually handle who I really am? The world has been watching Elon Musk love and lose for decades. 3 marriages, 2 women, children from multiple relationships, enough heartbreak to fill a library. And through all of it, through every divorce filing and every tabloid headline and every public dissection of his personal life by people who knew nothing about what actually happened behind closed doors, he never stopped trying. He never built a wall. He never looked at the wreckage of his romantic life and decided that enough was enough, that the cost was too high, that he would pour everything into his work and leave the messy, unpredictable, uncontrollable business of love to people who had more time for it. He kept reaching, every single time, and that not the rockets, not the billions, not the companies that reshaped entire industries, that stubbornness, that refusal to stop reaching for real human connection, that is the most extraordinary thing about him. But to understand what he finally revealed, to truly understand why those words landed the way they did, you have to understand where he came from, not the biography version, the human version, the version that starts not with a company or an idea, but with a child. A specific, lonely, particular child in Pretoria, South Africa, who felt the world at a frequency most people cannot sustain. He felt everything too much. The books he read did not feel like escapes, they felt like air. He could not survive without them. His mind moved at a speed that isolated him from other children before he was old enough to understand why. He was the boy who already knew the answers before the question was finished. The boy who got beaten up for being different. The boy who came home to a house where love was complicated and safety was not guaranteed. His parents divorced. His father, by Elon's own rare, guarded admission, was capable of a damage so quiet and so precise that the marks it left were invisible to everyone, except the child who carried them. And that child learned, in the way children always learn the deepest lessons, not from being told, but from surviving. That the world is not automatically gentle, that people you need will sometimes fail you, that if you want to feel safe, you may have to build that safety yourself. And so he built. He built companies, he built rockets, he built fortunes and visions and futures that spanned planets. And underneath all of it, underneath the ambition and the relentlessness and the extraordinary productive output of a mind that never, ever stopped, he was still that child, still waiting for something the world had never quite given him. Safety, the particular, irreplaceable safety of being known completely by another person and loved anyway. He arrived in North America at 19, nothing in his pockets but hunger. He worked for almost nothing. He slept on the floor of a rented office. He showered at the YMCA. He ate whatever was cheapest. And he built, God, he built Zip2, X.com, PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla. Each one a monument to a mind that refused to accept the world as it was. Each one a proof of something that the people who knew him early could see clearly, that Elon Musk was not chasing wealth. He was chasing significance, not the kind that gets you magazine covers, the kind that lasts, the kind that changes the direction of human civilization. And in the middle of all of that, building in that season of rented offices and impossible odds, and everyone around him saying, you are going to fail, he fell in love. Justine was a writer, fierce and intellectual and emotionally alive in ways that did not dim or simplify when she walked into a room. She was not impressed by his ambition. She had her own. And Elon Musk, the man who would one day articulate exactly what he wanted in a wife with stunning clarity, chose her because she did not make herself smaller to fit beside him. They married. They had children. They lost a child. Nevada, 10 weeks old, gone without warning. That loss broke something open in both of them that was never quite sealed again. Justine needed to grieve in the open. Elon could not stop moving. not because the grief was not real. Because stopping, fully feeling was something his entire nervous system had been built to resist since he was a boy in a house where feeling too much was not safe. And so two people who loved each other genuinely, who had chosen each other deliberately, began to survive the same catastrophe in completely opposite directions, until the distance between those directions became a canyon that no amount of love could bridge. The marriage ended. He remarried, divorced, remarried the same woman, divorced again. He kept reaching. Every time, he kept reaching, and every time, something did not quite fit. Not because the women were wrong, not because he was wrong, because he had never been fully honest, not with them, not with himself, about what he actually needed. Until now, here is what he finally said. Not in those exact words, because the truth, when it is real, never arrives in perfectly constructed sentences. It arrives in pieces, in conversations that go longer than they were supposed to, in admissions that surprise the person making them as much as the person receiving them. What Elon Musk finally revealed assembled from the rare, unguarded moments when the man behind the mission speaks instead of the mission itself. Is this, he does not want someone who admires him. He has had admiration. Admiration is easy to find when you are the richest man on earth. Admiration is everywhere. Admiration means nothing. He does not want someone who needs him. He does not want to be someone's answer, someone's solution, someone's rescue from a life that was not working. He has been that. It does not hold. He does not want someone impressed by the rockets. He does not want someone who fell in love with the version of him that exists in headlines. What he wants, what he has always wanted, though it took him decades and 3 marriages and more loss than anyone should carry to finally say it clearly, is someone who would still choose him if he had nothing. Someone who is not completing herself through him, but is already complete and chooses him from that fullness, not from that hunger. Someone with a mind that challenges his. Not competitively, not combatively, but genuinely. The way two people who are both paying attention can make each other more by being in the same room rather than less. Someone who is not afraid of his intensity because she has already made peace with her own. Someone who will tell him the truth, even when the truth is inconvenient, even when the truth is about him. Someone who loves him enough to be honest with him, which is the rarest, most demanding, most intimate form of love that exists. And most importantly, most quietly, most devastatingly simply, someone who stays, not out of obligation, not out of the weight of shared history or children or finances or fear of starting over, but because she wants to, because she looks at him, the real him, the complicated him, the him that is brilliant and obsessive and emotionally difficult and occasionally impossible, and she chooses him every day, again and again, not because he is perfect, because he is hers. I want you to sit with that for a moment, not as a description of what Elon Musk wants, as a mirror, because what he described, that quiet, complete, unperformative love, that is what every single one of us is actually looking for. Underneath the dating profiles and the carefully managed first impressions and the years we spend presenting the most acceptable version of ourselves, that is what we want. We want to be chosen by someone who sees all of it, who knows the parts we do not post about, who has watched us fail, or fall apart, or behave in ways we are not proud of, and woke up the next morning and chose us anyway. That is not a fairy tale. That is not an unreasonable ask. That is the most human thing there is. And here is the devastating irony. The reason most of us never find it is not because it does not exist. It is because we are so afraid of not being chosen, so practiced at managing what we show and hiding what we fear, that we never actually give anyone the chance to choose the real us. We offer the performance, and then we are heartbroken when someone falls in love with the performance instead of with us. We have it backwards. We are protecting ourselves from the very thing that would save us. The most powerful thing about what Elon Musk revealed is not the list itself. It is what the list tells us about him. Because a man who has spent his entire life being the most powerful person in every room, he enters a man who could theoretically have anything and anyone. That man sat down and said, I want someone who challenges me. I want someone who does not need me. I want someone who stays because she wants to. That is not the wish list of a man drunk on power. That is the wish list of a boy who grew up feeling unsafe. A boy who never quite trusted that the people who said they loved him would still be there when things got hard. A boy who built an empire partly, not entirely, but partly because building things you can control is easier than loving people you cannot. And now, after everything, He is finally saying out loud what that boy always needed. Not admiration, safety. The safety of being known, the safety of being chosen, the safety of a love that does not require you to be anything other than exactly what you are. That safety is not weakness. That is the bravest thing a human being can ask for. Because asking for it means admitting you need it. And admitting you need it means putting down the armor. And putting down the armor means risking everything. But here is what I have learned about people who put down the armor: they do not become weaker, they become magnetic. There is nothing more compelling in this world than a person who is completely, unapologetically, fearlessly themselves. No performance, no management, no carefully constructed image designed to preempt rejection. Just, this is who I am. All of it, take it or leave it. That kind of presence changes rooms. It changes lives. It is the thing Elon Musk has been searching for in another person. And it is the thing you become when you finally stop performing and start living. So here's the question I want to leave you with tonight. Not about Elon Musk, about you. Are you offering the real version of yourself to the people in your life? Are you loving from fullness, from a place of genuine choice and genuine presence? Or are you loving from hunger, from need? From the desperate, exhausting hope that if you are impressive enough, accommodating enough, lovable enough on the surface, someone will eventually choose you? Because if you have been running that exhausting, lonely strategy, I want you to hear this. It will not work. Not because you are not enough, because the version of you that is performing is not the version that can be truly loved. You cannot be truly loved by someone who does not truly know you. And you cannot be truly known while you are hiding. The math is simple. The doing is terrifying. But the alternative, a lifetime of being admired by people who do not actually know you, is lonelier than being alone. Elon Musk knows this. He learned it the hard way. 3 marriages, 3 times reaching, 3 times finding out that the thing he had was not quite the thing he needed, and still reaching, still honest enough, finally, to say what he actually wants. That is your invitation tonight. Be that honest with yourself first about what you actually want, not what looks good, not what is practical, not what fits the story you have been telling about who you are and what you deserve. What you actually want, the love that makes you feel known, the person who stays not because they have to, but because there is nowhere else in the world they would rather be. That love exists. It is not a fairy tale. It is what happens when two people who have done the difficult work of becoming themselves finally find each other and recognize each other and choose each other from fullness, from truth, from the quiet, unshakable, completely real place inside them that was never for sale and never for performance, but was always, always waiting to be seen. You deserve to be seen. Stop hiding so well. If this story stirred something in you, if it reached through the screen and touched something you have been carrying quietly for a long time, then you are exactly who this channel is for. Subscribe and stay with us. Every week, we bring you stories like this. Stories about extraordinary people that reveal ordinary truths. Stories that remind you that the greatest thing you will ever build is not a company, not a career, not an image. It is a life in which you are fully, completely, unapologetically yourself. We will see you there.